He was going through anxiety and depression. And he found the words to express what he was going through. And it was the words that he was lacking before. And so he took all his feelings and found the words for them and put them into a book. And he's going to be reading excerpts of poetry from that book right now. We're in for a treat, so please put your hands together for the author and poet, Mr. Sean Bukusi.
Good evening, good evening. It is such an honor to be here with so many talented people. First thing I'll say is when Cici, the coach, was talking about trauma and high performance, I felt so seen, and I appreciate that. I've learned something new today. So, as I start, I'll tell you a bit about myself, so you understand what I'm about to share with you. So, what I do for a living is I'm a full-time playmate. And what that means is my chief playmate is my daughter who's 2.5. And she's like the expert of hide and seek, but the game that she's been teaching me lately is a game that she calls Up in the Sky. So she runs to me with her hands raised, and I have to lift her and throw her in the air several times. Now, because she's not the one doing the carrying, she doesn't care. She like, just keep going, you know? And I often have to tell her, let me catch a breath, man. Just a little bit. So I also love to play games, and I have the benefit of having the best wife ever. And she's here blushing in the audience. And the rest of my family, I enjoy playing games with them as well. So tonight, for me, is really about my community. Who am I stand with my mental health journey? That's the reason I'm here. Even though I'm the one who's talking, they're the ones who had my back. Okay. So, as Cici was saying, what I do for a living is I play in strategy. I've worked in advertising for years, and I'm really good at it. So before I dealt with my mental health in 2020, I used to think, all you have to do is work hard. I mean, what's the big deal, yeah? Just work hard, and things will move. And I was very insensitive at the time, until it happened to me. In fact, I was so used to being strong and getting back from, being beaten down, that I got a phoenix tattoo on my back. I could show you, but it's a bit cold, yeah? So I got a phoenix tattoo on my back. So the first story I'm going to read you is titled Phoenix Burning. So, Phoenix Burning. I flew as high and as far as I could. My wings grew, my skills sharpened, and my eyes evolved. I thought I'd found my kind, and this was just the beginning. No matter what came next, I was fearless. After all, I had crashed and burnt before, but I always found a way back. Surely, this counted for something, and there was nothing but growth ahead, right? A phoenix must burn. It's the nature of its existence. Evolution and growth. The stories I have heard are of the phoenix rising. It's always the phoenix rising. But I haven't heard the story yet of the burning. Maybe there's a reason I had not, until now. Burning alive is painful. One is alert and conscious as the heat consumes them. The light generated enables them to see the damage as it occurs. At first, there's a will to live and keep going. The desperate attempts to put off the flame, to stop the destruction. The frantic endeavor continues until the subject realizes that the fire is all-consuming and past the point of no return. At this point, the pain is so unbearable, you can't deal with it. The mind numbs the nerves to protect itself as the inevitable end approaches. Given the state of consciousness, there's no telling what time is doing. The flames devour everything mercilessly, flaring up in moments and burning quietly in others. The subject is numb, disconnected, and adrift. Sometime later, a wind blows by, and the charred embers glow in response. A fragment of the raging blaze that turned the subject into a heap of ash, smoking and glowing quietly. The subject ceased to exist. The matter that constituted their being changed forms of energy. Nothing from the past exists. The burning is now complete. The phoenix is ashes. This is the point at which I found the bottom of my rock. Like, not the rock bottom, I found the bottom of my rock. And at this point, I was dealing with suicidal thoughts. And then that came with guilt and shame. I was so ashamed. I was like, how dare I think that? How dare I get to this point? And it took me some courage before I finally shared it with the people close to me, my playmates. To my surprise, they understood. For everyone at some point, life reaches, I guess to a point where you're just like, I'm done, I'm tired. I became so used to the dark thoughts, feeling useless and fear of what's coming next. And it took months for me to realize that there was nothing burning, there was no threat ahead of me. And this next story is about my trip back. How many of us have watched the movie Inception? Show of hands. Anyone's watched the movie Inception? This next story is something like that. So, before I started coming back, I want to honor the reason to live that had me come back. First, it was my daughter. I couldn't believe how hard she fought. My daughter was born 2 months premature, and she struggled in NICU, in the ward. And I couldn't see myself quitting when she was fighting and she didn't even know anything. I had to honor her. I had to honor my wife, my mom, and my community. That's what gave me the reason to start fighting, to come back from the depths. The next story is titled Awakening. Is there such a thing as a living coma? When you wake up every morning, do your errands, talk to people, and even feel things, but you aren't really there. For me, the lights were on, but no one was home. It became the norm for so long that it redefined my normal. Maybe that's why waking up now feels uncomfortable for me. Like each time I woke up before, I was rising into a different state of a dream. Maybe this is another state as well, and I'm just passing through. With the difference being, this feels more like what I'm familiar with when I say I'm awake. As a human being, could it be that there are different states of consciousness, depending on the present experience? I wonder, will some of my functions be dulled when I'm grieving? Will my mental and emotional abilities be limited when I'm hurting? Will my talents and skills be inaccessible when I am bleeding and raw? Then as time passes and wounds heal, certain parts of my being become reactivated. Will this be gradual, such that I barely notice the awakening? I had moments when I was not sure I would be awake again, or what it would feel like. I have definitely experienced different layers of myself in the past year and a half, many of which I did not know existed before. The current plane feels new and old at the same time. It's all because it feels familiar. I have been here before. I know where things are. I recognize the space. It's new at the same time because it's different. I put in work. I heal the wounds of the past and the trauma. So it's like wearing my favorite clothes. and realizing that I've grown and there's been changes to my body. So some places pinch when others it's kind of loose. I'm conscious of how time has passed. Everything has changed, and so have I. I'm awake now, and I've regained full consciousness. I am now connected to what is happening around me in real time. My heart was blinded, but now I see. This is my journey to self-love, which gave me the energy to set my boundaries and stand for them, which was such a big deal. And so now, rather than trying to please everyone, I can stand in the space of compassion. I can have your back, but not at my expense. And that's what I want to share with you. Thank you very much.
And there you have it, excerpts from his book from Mr. Sean Bukusi. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you. Sean, where is your wife? Ah, I see. She was the one cheering and clapping the loudest. The time he said my wife, I'm like, hey, boss, this guy has a wife? What, he's married? And then he said my daughter, and I'm like, wait, he has a daughter too? This is not related to anything, but I was also in my first months of life fighting inside an incubator because I was also born, I was born 2 months premature. Yeah, I was. And then I was a very quiet, shy, and awkward kid. I couldn't find the words. And I have been making up ever since, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you.